We are tracking severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings across the U.S. right now. Thanks for joining us on this afternoon live update. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. Hail Trace meteorologists are mapping storms all the way from the eastern side of Illinois down to Texas right now. So I do not have the radar pulled up quite yet, but you can see that we've got brand new severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings that we'll get to here in just a few minutes. Right now, we have watches anywhere from the eastern side of Illinois to Indiana, all the way down into Texas. So I kind of want to break this down for you right now, including the PDS watch that includes Memphis. So let's start down in Memphis because this is the PDS watch here. Over 1 million people potentially impacted by these storms that are going through Memphis right now that are tornado warned in some areas in this watch. This goes until midnight tonight. We can go up to the north and see that our watches up here go until I think about 10 o'clock. Oh, also midnight up to the north here. You can kind of click through some of these watches, John, and we can just kind of see how long we still have left. 11 o'clock Eastern time, so midnight once again Central time. Over 3.5 million people potentially impacted for that watch. For the next one, we have, we're clicking, I can hear it back there, until 10 o'clock tonight, and this is for Calumet, Gary, Joliet, and North Chicago. So this is in the Chicagoland area. You still have, you kind of get the picture here, right? Several more hours. It's 4 o'clock right now, 6 more hours at minimum that you may be dealing with these storms. So let's actually pop on the warnings and radar right now. Here's your warnings. I just want to show you the warnings first without the radar because it stretches through many, many states. We've got lots of warned storms here and lots of tornado warnings as well. You put the radar on top of that, and what we're watching for is a line of storms anywhere from the eastern side of Illinois all the way down Missouri into Arkansas, into the southeastern side of Oklahoma, and into Texas. Now this congealed line of storms, we're going to be watching for high wind, large hail, up to the size of a golf ball, but maybe we could get some 2 inches in there. I think it's going to be a very low chance there, but of course embedded tornadoes are also going to be a risk with these storms. Really what we're watching for, however, with that big severe risk is going to be down into Memphis. So we've got tornado warnings 1, 2, 3 from this cluster coming out of Memphis, as well as your severe thunderstorm warnings. So, let's start down there. Let's start in Memphis, and you guys comment, tell us where you want us to go next. Do you want to go to St. Louis next? Do you want to go into Arkansas next? And we'll just go around the radar here, and we will check into every different city, what's going on in each city. So actually, John, are you able to pop in there and pull us down to Memphis and start those around the radar in Memphis? Michael is asking about Ohio. So I don't think Ohio has any storms right now. We don't have any watches either. However, in a few hours, we will have that. Jackson, we've got a tornado warning in Jackson right now. This is moving to the northeast. What's our information about this storm?
Let me bring it up here. There we go.
So hail size up to the size of a quarter, 1 inch, not terribly impressive there. This includes Jackson, Lexington, Luray, and Milan, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Goes until 5 o'clock here, so we've got another 45 minutes on this tornado warning. Is there anything else from the National Weather Service that they're saying that we can't see here, John?
Well, this warning was actually issued a minute ago. So this is a brand new warning. Thankfully, this is a radar indicated rotation right now. So that means that nobody has actually witnessed a tornado, or the radar has not confirmed any tornadoes at the moment. It is moving fast though, so it's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So that means even if this is a visible tornado, this thing will be moving quickly if it actually becomes confirmed.
Yeah, you can't outrun a tornado that's moving over 50 miles an hour. These are storms that as they move so quickly, I mean, look at your highways here. You don't have anything good to outrun this tornado. So, of course, if you are in this red polygon, make sure that you are inside, not trying to outrun this tornado. The velocity here, a little messy, but you can see exactly where they're looking at that rotation. You want to see the greens and the reds touching each other. We call that gate-to-gate velocity, and that's what we're watching for right in this area right here as John popped it up on the screen.
Yeah, it doesn't always go like that. I think using the scope is probably a little easier.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, we can go down to some of our other warnings here because I know there's a lot of other people watching from all across the U.S. right now. We've got another tornado warning that's just along the state line here. So this will be the Tennessee and I think Missouri state line right here. Covington and Ripley included in this warning, also moving to the northeast here.
Yeah.
We could see some hail with this. So this tornado warning telling us that we could see up to golf ball size hail in this area. Not as many people live on this side of the state. You can see that number going down, about 25,000 still. However, golf ball size hail and a tornado warning. I assume this one is also radar indicated?
Yes, so this one was issued at 4:08. This one's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. And if you guys haven't picked up on this already, this is going to be the theme for a lot of these storms today. They're going to be very fast moving, these supercells out ahead of the line. So moving northeast at 45, tornado, golf ball size hail. Yeah, not too much else that is really with this. The history of this one, it got going. I think it dropped quarters in portions of Memphis not too long ago.
And we have seen some decent-sized hailstones today. Quarters coming from this one, so we know that it could produce some large hail. It's definitely possible. You can kind of see the rotation with this. You can see some very strong wind coming down on the backside of this storm, but John's highlighting the rotation that we're watching for right here. It's harder the farther you get away from the radar. You can't see those greens as much popping up there, but we are watching for a potentially rain-wrapped tornado here. I would call this most likely rain-wrapped if it's on the ground.
I'm just going to throw a correlation coefficient on here for just a second too to see if there's much hail with this, which doesn't look too much.
Yeah, what we're watching for everyone watching at home, correlation coefficient, we're watching for those blues start to sneak in there. Whenever we can see those blues, then we could see some potential large hailstones. Not seeing those blues, they're probably on the smaller side or maybe not even hitting the ground.
Yeah.
So we can, zoom out and take a look at what else is going on into Memphis. Do we have anything moving into Memphis proper right now? I don't think so. We have some scattered showers and storms, but they're not severe warned. So what we can do is we can go over to St. Louis. I think that's our next big city that is getting hit right now. John's kind of backing up this radar here to show you that all of this is moving to the northeast. So these storms aren't moving into Memphis. No, they're moving this way.
Like that way pretty much. So like this one furthest to the west may get the eastern sides of the metro area, but it's still about 50 miles away. So you got a little bit of time.
Yeah, you've got a while. And again, these are moving right around 50 miles an hour. So you've got probably about or less than an hour here.
All right.
So going up to St. Louis now, St. Louis getting pelted with that rain. However, I don't see anything severe warned in St. Louis. We do have a tornado warning that's coming on the southern side of the city. You can see just down 55 here, we have that tornado warning, and we're going to pop up some information about this warning and get you more of that information. Hail sizes from this warning, not terribly impressive, about the size of an inch, so that would be like the size of a quarter. Belleville, Centreville, Waterloo, all included in this tornado warning here, and I assume this is also radar indicated. I think it would be very hard to see this tornado because of all the rain around it.
Yeah, so this is another one that was like just issued. It was issued at 4:19, so we're getting these like right as they're coming out. We have it moving northeast at 45, another real fast mover here, and I mean the radar updated while we were doing this just now. I think it's pretty clear. This is kind of what we've been seeing with this line of storms. These supercells, I'll just kind of highlight, kind of coming out of the line just a little bit, like right there. And that's not a good sign for if you don't want tornadoes to happen.
Yeah, well, and as we mentioned, they're really difficult to see, and they're moving very fast. And what we're watching for are these like little notches that are coming out of that line. That's going to not only include that potential for a tornado, but we're also going to see that really high wind with this as well. Do they have wind gusts on this tornado warning? I assume they're over 60 miles an hour, but they may have stayed right around 65.
So this warning, they are focused 100% on quarter-size hail and the tornado. They don't even mention the winds that beat at all on it.
This looks a little bit more impressive right there. Yep, we're really keeping an eye on this notch right there. Just with the newest update. I wish that we could get our velocity in here, storm relative velocity. There you go. You can see it just a little bit. So we're watching for this area right here. And then potentially even this one up here as well.
Yeah, I'm going to switch to correlation coefficient real quick to make sure we don't have a debris ball.
So again, with correlation coefficient, we're watching for those yellows and blues start to mixing in here. That means that we're starting to see a larger pieces of something in the atmosphere. Usually with the tornado, that means potential debris. That means that it's hitting the ground and it's picking that debris up and it's lofting it into the atmosphere, then the radar is catching it. And so whenever we see those blues, that means a debris ball. Thankfully, we didn't see that this time around. However, as we get new updates every now and then, I mean, what do we have, updates every minute?
Every about 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes?
In St. Louis.
We'll keep checking that and see if we do see that debris ball on there.
I'm checking again right now. This one does, just visually, concerns me the most. This area right here is the most clear look, and the fact that we have so much rain surrounding it, it'd be pretty difficult for people to see if it actually does drop to the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be and with the sun out right now, you know, the rain is coming down. It's very difficult to see on the roadways, let alone if we've got a tornado wrapped up in this as well. So very difficult to see. And even just over the last few scans, we've seen this radar signature become more and more impressive for a potential tornado here. So very accurately warned by the National Weather Service. This was a warning that was absolutely needed. And it looks like, yep, right there, it is looking more and more impressive every single scan.
Yeah, thankfully, still not seeing any kind of debris ball, but again, this, if I can just zoom in a little bit here, this couplet here is the best looking couplet we've seen so far since we started our coverage.
And this is for everyone who's just now joining, south of St. Louis and New Hanover, so just probably still technically in the city, St. Louis Metro right here. And we're watching for the circulation. We always watch for those greens and reds to be touching right there. And then we watch for these little notches to pop out. John's putting a timeline on this storm right here so we can see where it's moving to next.
Yeah, I need to zoom out a little bit. Oops. Give me a second. Again,
and we'll get you guys a timeline.
So.
Well, and thankfully, some of these fast movers, while you get a little less warning time, sometimes these, if they're moving faster, means that this storm doesn't have as much time to organize. So sometimes that's good to not see that storm development because they're moving so fast. But we do have a timeline now. Millstat at 4:33, 4:32 in Belleville. We mentioned you all earlier, included in that warning just on the west side of the city here. O'Fallon into 4:52 here and 4:57 for Lebanon. Looking Glass now as we head into Illinois at 5:05. Now this was one of the areas of the country as we head into southern Illinois that was warned in that high category today, that level 5 out of 5, that high category. Southern Illinois was included in that, as well as the western side of Kentucky, Tennessee, all the way down into Arkansas today. Zooming back into that very problem spot right here that we're watching very, very closely for a potential debris ball. This is the area that we're watching for right here, and then you'll see this move to the northeast in the next scan. So we're watching this area. If we see any blues pop up here, that means trouble. We most likely have a tornado on the ground at that point. I am interested into seeing how this moves into some more of those populated areas. We've got some highways in here that are popping up on our radar every now and then. We see that this is moving into the highway areas, so hopefully they had enough time to warn those people that are out on the roadways. It is getting close to that evening commute, so hopefully people are not on the roadways at this time as we do get into some more of those populated areas.
Yeah. Do we want to move to, I mean, there's a bunch of tornado warnings elsewhere.
Yeah, and we can see those like popping up all along the screen here, so let's keep moving around the U.S. and we'll come back to this tornado warning in just a few minutes.
Keep moving north, I guess.
Yeah. Severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. I'm going to check and see if any of these are warned for any large hail, and we'll talk about the tornado warnings as well. So those highlighted in red are obviously your tornado warnings. Anytime that you're in a red box, you want to make sure that you are sheltered inside, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And you can kind of click through some of these, John, and we can see what we're working with here.
We have this tornado warning for Brown, Fisher, Ludlow, and Rantoul. The hail not a factor. Radar indicated tornado moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Again, another really ripping speed here. For these particular storms, just gotta throw out there, we are picking up from the Chicago radar, so we are a bit far away from some of them. I don't think we had the Central Illinois one. Again, yet again, we have another very large spatial area at risk today, so there's only so many radars we can bring up at one time. But they are all moving quickly. We have the severe thunderstorm warning was more for the strong winds than for the potential for large hail for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Again, so this is pretty much for the line of storms extending from near Sonneman to near Saybrook, and it's moving northeast at 60 with 70 mile per hour wind gusts possible and quarter-size hail. This is all radar indicated. It's all racing off to the northeast. I think at least, I'm not sure which one of these storms here, but one of these storms ended up dropping golf ball size hail in Springfield, Illinois, about an hour ago.
And I'm wondering if our system is not updating here, because I see on radar scope that we do have some of these warned for up to golf ball size hail as well. We've got some 1.75 and 2-inch warnings here. So with that 70 mile per hour wind speed. So I'm wondering if this is not updated.
Here it is.
There you go.
We
just had to click the right one. Yes.
Yeah.
So for Clinton, Empire, Monticello, I hope I'm saying these correctly, 2-inch size hail and 70 mile per hour wind gusts, in addition to that tornado warning. So this area coming into Champaign, Illinois right now, that is what we're watching for some of the most intense storms across the country right now.
Yeah, and that's what we have here in central Illinois. Up further north, I saw some folks talking about Chicago. If we zoom in, there has been cooler temperatures in Chicago today. We do have this one storm that we're kind of keeping an eye on. I don't think we have you don't have the storm reports or the other things on here on this one, do you? Nope. So that's okay. But this storm is not at all severe. I think if I'm looking at it on radar scope really fast, yeah, there isn't even like a storm. There's not even any light lightning with it. So that, I think Chicago is probably going to be on the outside looking in. Most of this is going to stay from about Kankakee point south, which, I mean, the warnings are saying that pretty clearly there.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and these warnings, it's crazy how we see that shift just almost immediately, that these warnings south of Kankakee just go from no warnings at all to 2-inch size hail, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and tornado warning here. And I think this tornado warning looks pretty good as well. At least it did a few scans ago.
Yeah, we're not, unfortunately, I don't think we're close enough. We'll see. Let's see how close we are to Chicago's radar. Yeah, you can't. We're a little far away, so it's a little tough to tell on that one, but that's okay. We do have some more tornado warnings down south now. By whatchamacallit.
We're going to Memphis now?
Yeah, we'll go down towards Memphis because we do have another one that's now moving into, we'll see it right here, in northern Mississippi. And these ones kind of concern me. They all, man, look at them. They have some pretty, I would call them little shrimps, the little commas on them. And yeah, they're issuing tornado warnings like crazy right now. You can see them all on the side of the screen right next to you there, Taylor.
Yeah, and so we see whenever those tornado warnings or those severe thunderstorm warnings either get updated or if there is something new issued. So that's what you're seeing on the left side of me over here. On the right over here, Holly Springs is that next tornado warning. 1-inch size hail and of course, tornado warned until 5 p.m. So we have another 29 minutes left on this. And as John said, whenever we start to see that little almost like shrimp-like feature here, right? That like backwards C or upside down C-shaped right there, that's whenever we start to watch for this area for a potential tornado and some circulation in this area as well. If we're using the Memphis radar, I think that we could probably get some decent storm relative velocity out of this. I'm wondering what that looks like.
Looking on radar scope on my phone, it looks pretty good.
Pretty impressive?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me...
So again, we're looking right in here. Yep, John's got a good spot right there.
I'm just going to switch it to just this. It's right there.
There you go. Yep. Very, very defined right there, where we're watching for those greens touching the red. And so that's what we're watching for the potential tornado location. And I am very interested about correlation coefficient. So what we're switching back and forth from here, that more colorful red, right there, yep, that's correlation coefficient. And anytime we start to see these blues in here, that's what we're watching for right there. That means trouble. That means that we could have a tornado on the ground.
Right now, this region right here looks like it's the inflow region when you bring it back to reflectivity. So there's nothing there. And then you have the velocities and correlation coefficient. So it's hail in here. Whoops.
Absolutely.
Oh, I got the wrong thing on there.
And I'm wondering how large that hail is, because this was warned for 1-inch size hail, the size of a quarter. And so I'm wondering what is actually happening at the ground right here. If you were just to give a fast estimate, John, what would you be mapping this as?
Looking at this, let's see, the algorithm's saying about 2-inch hail. We're probably getting close to golf ball size hail. This might be one of those storms that rapidly intensifies, where you're going to start getting extremely large hail on top of this tornado risk. Okay, so this is concerning me quite a lot, actually. Right here, it's like almost looks like it's separated from the rest of the supercell. That means the storm has very good venting. So you're gonna have, it's not gonna be rain wrap, but I don't know. This is giving me a bad vibes. Yeah, that's not looking too good.
Every scan looks a little bit more impressive, and I want to see if we can get any, what is this? This is Mississippi cameras in here.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see if we have any.
The southern side of the Memphis metro. So I'll zoom out a little bit.
Traffic cameras.
While Taylor's looking for some traffic cameras, I'm gonna zoom the camera out so you guys can see. Wow, yeah, this thing is moving so fast. So this is moving pretty much straight for Holly Springs. Again, we're moving northeast at highway speeds at 55 miles an hour. Yikes. Okay. Otherwise, we have 3 just on the Memphis radar site alone. We have I'll say we got 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings. I'm trying to see which ones are actually confirmed or not. The one that we've been looking at just now is the one that, again, in terms of visuals, has me the most concerned. It looks like a very classic tornadic supercell. As far as I can tell, the one in Jackson, Tennessee is still radar. Confirmed the one that's for Covington. It's already almost out of its warning region. That one doesn't look as intense, but it's this one here that's heading pretty much directly for Holly Springs, which is one of the suburbs of Memphis on the Mississippi side. I just keep going back to correlation coefficients. So again, right here, you're looking at the hail. Right here, you're looking at the inflow region where there's no precipitation actually happening. But right in here where we have this little appendage, this little sticky out part of the supercell, I'm checking to see if we are starting to get any kind of debris. We do have the storm relative velocity doesn't look as good in that most recent update than we had before, but again, we're in a very, very, there's a reason why it's a high risk today. We're in an extraordinarily favorable environment for rotating supercells, and if anything becomes tornadic, it becomes potentially violently tornadic. So, and with all of these other storms trying to form, all it takes is one well-placed little shower to give the rear flank downdraft, the wind coming around the backside of a tornadic supercell, the necessary push to drop a tornado. So again, this one, again, to the southwest of Holly Springs is looking particularly concerning among all of the storms we're seeing here. And if I do a further zoom out, there are a ton of these little showers and thunderstorms that are very rapidly coming developing and racing off to the northeast. So that could also, any of these could end up going tornadic very quickly. So.
And that was something that we had talked about during the forecast today, is that this line back here may look more intimidating. However, what we're really watching for are, and it's almost sneaky if you don't know exactly what you're watching for here, but meteorologists know if we can get some of these very isolated, we call them discrete supercells, this is whenever we start to see something bad happen. And so that's whenever these storms can go tornadic really fast. Things can change really fast if they get into the right atmosphere. And we've got it, as John mentioned, we've got the right conditions today. So I did pull up a Memphis traffic camera. This is just to the north of Holly Springs, so we may have a difficult time seeing this storm, but we can see that we've got clouds out there. We really cannot see that storm at all. We're a little too far away, but it looks like MDOT is keeping an eye on this. What they've done with this camera is, instead of facing it right at the road, which is where this camera where most cameras normally are, they have pulled it up so that we can see the skyline. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, and if we see anything that looks interesting, of course we will pull this back up. We still have a while until that storm gets to this camera. It's right to the north of Holly Springs. So we can go back to the radar and we can show you exactly what we're watching for out of Memphis. I know we had a few questions about Memphis. We had another question about Texarkana, which I think is in the clear right now. You may be in a watch right now, but I do think that you'll see storms. Oh, there we go. We've got some storms forming anywhere from Shreveport all the way up to Texarkana, off to the south, off to the north and east. Another severe thunderstorm warning coming into Little Rock, probably going to hit the northern side of Little Rock here, just up I-40. So we've got two different areas that we can take a look at. There's that severe thunderstorm warning coming into Hot Springs, Arkansas right there. This one a little bit more difficult to see, but if you, and it just intensified, easier to see now. So we got a new update from the National Weather Service. They are warning this storm for 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds, very strong wind right along the highway. The hail size, they're saying, for this one, not terribly impressive. And that's what we mentioned earlier, is that this long line of storms, your hail may not be terribly impressive here. Wind is going to be the biggest problem with these storms. So that's exactly what we're seeing coming into the northern side of Little Rock. Once this storm moves through, wait just a minute, you've got another one coming, okay? So we've got two storms that are going to come in a row here.
Yeah, and when you zoom in on this, you can tell that this is definitely turning into a bit of a bow here.
Yeah, you've got that backwards C motion. You know, you think of like a bow and arrow. That's kind of what we refer to this as. Whenever it starts to bow out, you'll hear us use that term quite often. But it's this backwards C, this crescent shape, that indicates to us that we've got some really strong wind coming this way.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the many risks today.
Yes, absolutely. One of the many risks. Large hail, I think, is going to be more of an issue with some of these more isolated storms, and maybe not even these, but it'll be these that are super isolated farther out to the east here. But we have two storms coming into Little Rock. Let's go down to Shreveport real quick, because I know I saw a severe thunderstorm warning going into this area as well. We do have that radar pulled up. And what is this warned for? Because it's kind of out there on its own. 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I do think that this is something that could intensify, especially if it can stay isolated. And we'll have to see what it does over the next few hours. But yes, until 5:15, moving into Shreveport right now.
Moving at 40 miles an hour.
40 miles an hour. So not as fast as the others, but still, most of these are pretty fast movers.
I'll check out correlation coefficient to see if there's much in the way of any hail. Doesn't look like it right now. And then velocities, we're getting kind of close to the radar. Shreveport is one of the places we decided to put a radar in like the middle of town. So it can be a little difficult to see sometimes, but this is, definitely what you said, like worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, you think that radar closest to town makes a lot of sense, right? But the closer these storms get to the radar, the more cluttered it gets. It's really, really hard to see these storms in this kind of like ring around the radar here. You get kind of a black hole right there. So as the storm continues to move to the north and east, we may not get the best data here, but we will, of course, keep an eye on it for you. Right now, only warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. And we were talking about Texarkana, no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. That doesn't mean that you can't have one over the next few hours.
Yeah.
We can kind of zoom out and maybe go back to some of those other storms that we were keeping an eye on. We were keeping an eye on one storm up in Illinois that looked pretty concerning, another one down to the south of St. Louis, and then more tornadoes in Memphis area. So we can go back to that central Illinois storm right here. Again, this is hatched. You can see those lines there. We call this hatched. That means that we either have some high wind that could be potentially destructive or some large hail in this area. And John's going to click on that warning and we're going to see exactly what we're in store for. So we have both actually. We have ping pong ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds with this. So we can see both high wind and large hail. Not tornado warned. I take that back. We have a tornado warning right here?
Yeah, it's to the south for the southern storm right here. So that one.
Just outside of Drummer.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's your tornado warning. There's right where that blue dot is where we're looking for that potential tornado. And then we've got another upgrade just down to the south of this one itself, just to the south of Drummer, where 70 mile per hour. So this one is also being warned for wind, not necessarily hail.
And then here in Decatur, there's a tornado warning that was issued about almost 15 minutes ago, and it's still 5:15.
Okay, going until 5:15. So we still have another 30 minutes on that tornado warning. I am impressed about how far out they're warning these tornadoes because, yeah, this is a 45-minute warning, pretty good length of time to be warned for, and it's probably because we know exactly where it's going. This line of storms is pretty predictable for the most part. We know where these storms are going. It's going to be those ones that are a little bit more isolated that could change direction. So those are the ones that are a little bit more unpredictable. This line of storms, pretty predictable for its direction and how fast it will move. We've got some high wind associated with this, large hail also possible. So really the question is not how fast will this move and where is it going? The question is how strong are these pockets inside this line of storms?
So I just actually sent to the meteorology chat if you want. Apparently in Potasse, Missouri, there's a pretty impressive tornado. I don't know if it just happened or if it's in progress. I'm actually going to go down to that part. Because that part of Missouri is somewhere around here, if I recall correctly. Is it this one? I can't remember where Potasse's at. But there, it was, I think it might have been one of the storms that was south of St. Louis earlier that was tornado warned, but it looked pretty impressive.
And we can look at those St. Louis Department of Transportation cameras as well. See if they have any.
Yeah. Looking at the storm in St. Louis right now, it looks like they are going to allow the tornado warning to expire. Yep, they did just there. And then we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one's going to be 60-mile-per-hour winds, and they just said small hail.
Small hail with that
moving
one.
Northeast at 55 miles per hour. It looks like the storm kind of gusted out. So basically, the outflow of the storm is deciding it wants to become dominant and become more of a wind event here in the Bellevue area. So again, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire.
That you were correct about that. Potasse, in south of St. Louis in Missouri, pretty far south of St. Louis actually. So we actually do have, it looks like in that area, some red spots on our traffic cameras right here. So I'm wondering if, anytime that we see that start to pop up on our traffic cameras, we know that there's been something that's going on there that has stalled traffic. So either a strong storm, potentially tornado in that area. So we know that something happened there.
Yeah.
We can't see anything happening currently on our traffic cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, that has well since lifted, but man, it was a pretty nasty looking tornado based on the video that I looked at. I'm gonna check in while you're doing that. I'm gonna check in on Memphis again. We have, it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include a good chunk of Memphis and the area in far northern Mississippi along the 269 like loop here. So this storm that's currently in Hernando, Mississippi. So it is warned for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. It includes Bartlett, Germantown, the eastern sides of Memphis, and South Haven. So the storm's rocketing, moving northeast at 50, and this will be till 5:45. If we look at the storm by Holly Springs, this tornado warning is now for tornado and golf ball size hail. This was the storm we were looking at. We had lower correlation coefficients. So that does make sense why they increased the hail size on this warning. Still radar indicated as of 4:40, which was about 6, 7 minutes ago. And again, we're racing to northeast at 45 miles an hour, or 55 miles an hour, excuse me. So if we look at these two storms, I'll start with the severe thunderstorm warning storm in Hernando, pretty much right along I-55 here. If we look at correlation coefficient, yeah, okay, there is definitely, if we draw where the storm actually is, so I'll just do this little bean shape here, and we bring correlation coefficient, notice you do see that lowering in here, which would indicate that we are actually seeing some at least 1-inch hail. Looking at the storm relative velocity, I'm not seeing too much right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more mid-level velocity, with just the fact that the storm has the little, I call this shrimp, but the little arcing C-looking shape. This storm over here by Holly Springs, again, looking pretty ominous. If we zoom in on this one and we switch over to the storm relative velocity, we still have that potential. They got that rotation in there. Correlation coefficients are looking a lot less impressive than they did a little while ago. I'm not seeing any debris ball with this, so that's good. We're still just radar indicated. I feel like we are teetering right on the edge of having some pretty nasty tornadoes in the area. So again, just really keeping a very close eye on it. Again, these storms are racing to the northeast. This one, if it's moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, it will, the center of its hail core, which is pretty much where I clicked it from, moving northeast at 55. That brings it into Olive Branch, which is just over the Tennessee border at 5:02. Again, I'm saying this at 4:49. Germantown 5:11. Cordova at 5:17. Lakeland at 5:23, and then Oakland. So that's already going to be like on the northern edges of the core Memphis metro by 5:30. So within a 40-minute period, it's going to race across the eastern sides of the metro, where a lot of those suburbs are.
I'm just following along with you, John.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at this Holly Springs camera right here. We'll see if we can see anything from this. My thought right now is that we're going to be on the north side of this storm, so probably not seeing anything. That camera is just, I'll show you right here, just up here. So we're probably not seeing anything. We're going to see a lot of rain, but that's probably what we're seeing. If there was a camera down here, we would have a great view of this storm. But yeah, that tornado warning looking pretty impressive right now. We've got a great little curve right there that we're watching for that tornado at. And again, we still have, what was that, 30 more minutes left on that warning.
I'll check in on this Jackson storm as well. That one's starting to move right. Oh, geez.
Anytime, you just heard John say, it's starting to move right. What does that mean? Anytime that it takes more of an eastward turn, we know that that storm could be producing, or at least starting to generate, that potential for a tornado. So that eastward turn is very indicating to us meteorologists that something is happening there. It could also have some larger hail with this storm up to the size of a golf ball. So that'll be farther back to the north in this storm, and that tornado down to the south right there where that black box is. So we've got two different hazards going on here, that tornado and that large hail.
Yeah, so it's radar indicated rotation still. This is as of 4:47, so it's only about a few minutes ago.
Okay.
And we're still moving northeast at 50. Again, we're hauling. But I'm just going to look on the velocities. Okay, yeah. So that definitely is a little concerning. You have a very robust area of the greens and the blues coming together here. That's where your tighter couplet of the potentially that rotation. Basically, it's indicating that there's rotation there. And there's definitely hail with this. You can tell that there's hail right in here. You even have some backscattering from the correlation coefficient that's usually indicative of some larger hail, or at least higher concentrations of hail. But yeah, right now just trying to keep an eye on this. If I do storm motion from before, we can see that, yeah, it started to try to turn to the right a little bit, and usually when we see something like that, that's not a super good sign. I think this warning just updated a second ago. Let me click on it again. Oh no, it's the same update from before. This only goes till 5.
I saw that. I was quite curious about that. We only have 8 more minutes on this warning. I wonder if they're just trying to see what direction this storm is moving. You know, like right now we have that northeast turn, but if it turns to the east, they're going to need to update that warning.
Yeah, I'm just kind of rolling it forward again. It might also be trying to split too. It's hard to tell.
Are you looking right up here? Yeah. So anytime that we see a split in the storm as well, for those of you who are not meteorologists watching at home right now, that means that oftentimes this left split, you can determine the left and the right split. Think about the storm motion, face that way, and then to the left, this would be your hailer. To the right, that's your tornado producer. So we can always determine that we have two different storms. Whenever they start to split off, we have the hailer to the north and then the tornado producer down to the south. And that's really what you described earlier, John, is that you talked about where the hail was and you're talking about where the tornado is, and it looks like it's almost textbook where we're expecting, to see that split at.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of zoom in here with just the correlation coefficient. There's definitely hail occurring in Jackson right now, probably on the northern sides. We got a storm report of golf ball size hail at the Jackson Regional Airport as of 4:45, and the hail marker. Yeah, the storm is for sure splitting. So that's also a major factor here, and there's a fair bit of rotation. The difference is that Jackson, Tennessee is much farther away from the Memphis radar, so you're not going to pick up the bottom of the radar beam is not going to be as close to the ground as these other storms closer to Memphis.
And I pulled up a few Jackson cameras here. We know that it's raining really hard right now. I don't see any hail on this camera. However, hail is extremely difficult to spot from these travel cameras here.
Yeah, unless it's really big.
Unless it's really big. And so we know that it's raining really hard right here. People are still able to get through the roads right now. Oftentimes what we look for whenever we see these traffic cameras, we look for those flashing lights. Whenever you turn on your hazards, you know that something is going on. You can't see in front of you. Maybe it's raining so hard. And I don't see that on here. I don't see people turning on their hazards yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. And if we see any traffic issues, we'll keep you updated on that, because oftentimes those traffic issues, you may say, why does that matter? That could be indicating some sort of tornado touching down. That could be indicating people are stopped because of the hail. It just kind of depends. But we're seeing good traffic movement right now, and it is almost 5 o'clock, which is just about to be rush hour.
Okay, sorry, I clicked on something on my end, and it got messed up, so I'm fixing it really quick.
Clicking around, and we can go through. I know that we don't have too much longer left on our live here. We can go through and talk about the forecast for what we're expecting later on this evening as well. So there's your Jackson storm, and they have now extended that tornado warning. We said that earlier only went until 5 o'clock. However, they have determined the direction that this warning is going in. So they have up to ping pong ball size hail, which I think is a step down from what we saw earlier. Earlier we saw golf ball size, now we're seeing ping pong ball size hail. It goes until 6 o'clock, so we have another hour left on this warning here, and it is moving to the northeast. What's the speed of this tornado warning? Here, I can check.
Northeast at 50.
Northeast at 50.
I see somebody asking about the volume very low. We're trying to fix that. We have the volume pretty high on our end. Just throwing out there. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, and I don't know if that's something on the other end. If you turn your auto captions on, it might help. But we're trying. It's a weird issue that we've been doing with as well on our end. So.
Yeah, that's something that we've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've tried all of the different ways to get our mics a little bit higher. So we apologize for that inconvenience.
Yeah.
So we can do maybe a little, one last round the radar, wrap up with a forecast, because I know we are getting close to 5 o'clock here. We have an ongoing tornado warning in Holly Springs right now. Down on the southern side of this is where we're watching for that tornado as it crosses I-22 right here. Still looking pretty impressive right here with that gate to gate. We are looking for the reds and the greens touching there. And we have another tornado warning up in Jackson. We talked about that. What about St. Louis? We haven't checked on St. Louis in quite some time.
Go over there.
So here we are in St. Louis. Okay, the first thing that I see from this, high wind. What is this warned for right here? Because we have a severe thunderstorm warning coming out of St. Louis, moving into the southern side of Illinois, and we have 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds on this with less than quarter-size hail. So this is your marginal severe thunderstorm warning, what we consider just marginally severe, 58-mile-per-hour high winds and quarter-size hail. That's your threshold. We're barely above that threshold for this warning right here.
I see there's a storm report for 60 miles, a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust from about 15 minutes ago in Bellevue.
Which is why this is probably verified, because of that 60-mile-per-hour wind speed. We also have those strong storms up into central Illinois. So we can take a look at central Illinois, and then we'll head back down to the south, and then we'll do a little forecast for what we're expecting for the rest of the evening and the overnight hours. I know some people were asking about Texas earlier as well. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings, some of these significant, so we could see some hazards that could cause what we consider destructive. Now that's a National Weather Service term for anything over 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. So up to 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds, that's what they consider destructive. And then anything over, I think, golf ball size hail is also whenever they start to use that term. So these also warned for hail anywhere from Kankakee, I hope I'm saying that correctly, all the way down to Springfield, Illinois. Chicago, you are severe clear as far as I know, but we can head down to the south into Shreveport once again. And I know we also had some people watching from Texarkana on here. We can give them an update as well. So we've got Little Rock with a significant severe thunderstorm warning right now. Shreveport also with a severe thunderstorm warning. There we go. I've said that many times today. 1-inch size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts is what we are getting out of Shreveport right now.
It's still just radar indicated. So nothing has been confirmed on at the surface.
Nothing confirmed at the surface, but one of our meteorologists here, what she does is she goes on to social media, online, on all different platforms, and she scours the internet looking to see if we can confirm anything out of this. So if there is something out there that means that we can confirm something that's going on from a severe thunderstorm warning across the entire U.S., we will know about it. Let's zoom out one more time and see if there's anything else that we can update people on, and then we can get into our forecast. The only other thing that we haven't talked about was Little Rock, and we do have some significant severe thunderstorm warnings in here as well. I'm curious if these are for hail or high wind, because if I had a guess, I would lean towards wind.
Conway is almost for sure wind.
Yeah, high wind there. 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds near Pine Bluff.
That one might be for hail, yep.
and it's textbook. It's more isolated. It's out there on its own. It's not as cluttered with all of these other severe thunderstorms like up near Conway, right? So that means that it has more time to organize, more space to organize. There's your large hail out of this thing. And I'm wondering if they'll tornado warn this as well.
Yeah, it looks kind of mean. It may still be getting its act together a little bit. I can't really see too much on the velocity right now, but I mean, it's definitely making quite a bit of hail. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up making bigger than golf balls if it can keep organizing.
All right, you heard it here first. Star City, that's where we're watching for larger than golf ball size hail. Let's see, where is this? What's the closest big city? Potentially Memphis? I mean, way down the line here, maybe to the north of Memphis, we're watching for the storm. If it can continue to sustain its structure, we're watching down the line, maybe continuing into Memphis here.
Which, you know, it's like 100 miles away, but
over 2 hours away, so you've got some time. This is like your biggest heads up, is over 2 hours away in Memphis. All right, John, right after these graphics, I do have some forecast graphics set up there, so we can end with a quick forecast so people, especially down in Texas, can see what's happening later on tonight.
Yeah, if you just click forward, we should hopefully not crash the system. Oh, we're on this one again.
Okay, yes, so one last wrap up with these watches that we have here. We do have tornado watches in place, highlighted there in yellow until about midnight tonight. Some expire a few hours beforehand, but I think some of the latest ones are until midnight tonight. Still lots of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings going on across this line of storms right now. What we're watching for is this line of storms, mainly high wind. However, that large hail will be a little bit farther to the west on those isolated storms. Taking a look at your forecasted instability, something that we are watching for here is that potential to see an increase in unstable air into Dallas, into the overnight hours, and into early tomorrow morning, which is why even though we don't have storms in Dallas right now, and we haven't seen them yet today, we could see that large hail into the overnight hours tonight and into tomorrow morning. So technically, this would be like early Thursday morning for Dallas to get that larger hail up to the size of 2 inches. I have a level 2, so a level 2 out of 4 chance to get that large hail in Dallas. Max forecasted hail size today, I went right in between 2 and 2.5 inches. If we could get like a 2 1/4, that's where I would have gone today. But I went ahead, I pulled the trigger on tennis ball size hail for today.
If it makes you feel better, they've already confirmed tennis balls earlier in Missouri.
We've already confirmed tennis balls, so accurate forecast for hail trace. Today we do have that high risk. Of course, this is the most concerning area that we're watching for, really actually coming into fruition right now. We saw those tornado warning storms in Memphis looking the most impressive in Memphis. This is where we saw those isolated storms, those discrete supercells. That's where we were watching for the biggest tornado threat today. As these storms, as the system continues to progress to the east into the overnight hours, we're talking about after dinner time, after it gets dark tonight, you will finally start to see that risk go down as we continue to see this progress to the east. About that time, you're asleep, it's about 2 a.m., that's whenever Dallas starts to fire up, okay? So our attention shifts down to the south into Texas. That's where we're seeing that risk for storms in Dallas. And yes, Dallas, I do have a zoomed in future radar for you, so just 1 minute here and then we'll get to that. Your future radar for tomorrow, kind of an overview here, we do have an enhanced risk, a level 3 risk, anywhere from the western side of Tennessee all the way through Arkansas, including the southern portions of Oklahoma and northern Texas. Once again, it seems like once storms start to calm down out to the east, we see more fire up out to the west. And I think that this is a trend that we're not only seeing today and tomorrow, but also on Friday as well. So it's just round after round after round, which is why it's important to always come back for that forecast day after day, if not hour by hour, because things could change really quickly. Your most at-risk cities for today. Some of this has already passed, but I went by timeline here. Chicago, low chance. Your storm chance has already passed. This could be wiped out. Memphis. We've been talking about Memphis all hour long at that high risk. Yes, I think that this verified, absolutely. Indianapolis has yet to see storms today, but I do have that in the moderate category. That risk for hail goes down pretty significantly as we head to the east into Cincinnati and Nashville. And at the very end of our day, technically tomorrow morning, Dallas, once again, you can see that increased storm risk here. So let's get into it. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, get to Dallas now. Let me fast forward through some of these graphics. There's your tornado risk for today. Okay, let's get down to the south. So here we are this evening, this afternoon. We've already covered these storms going into Kentucky, Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee right now. As we head into the overnight hours tonight and into tomorrow, when the storms start to fire up in the DFW area, we're going to start out by I-20. That's where we're going to start to see storm initiation. It'll be early tomorrow morning between about, I said 2 a.m. during our noon forecast today. This model, the NAM 3K, is trying to pull in storms by 1 a.m. Either way, you're asleep, right? There's a pretty good chance, if we could get some of these isolated storms on here, to be pretty decent hailers. Let's see that one more time. Fast forwarding through these storms that we've already tracked today. As we go throughout the evening hours tonight and into the overnight hours, it congeals into more of a line, and that's your high wind risk. There's your storms through Dallas. So the HRRR has a lot more more widespread storms right through the heart of Dallas than the NAM did. Again, firing right around 1 to 2 o'clock, early Thursday morning, and continuing up until your morning commute. So this could be waking you up early tomorrow morning. So make sure that you set your alarm or have a way to wake you up if there is a reason to shelter early tomorrow morning. We're talking about 1 to 2-ish is whenever you should start to keep, to pay attention to those Dallas storms. So there's your timeline for Dallas, going through what we see tomorrow, your hail risk updated a little bit here for tomorrow, storms throughout the day tomorrow. Chance for large hail in Little Rock, chance for large hail in Nashville as well. And max forecasted hail size tomorrow, I brought it down just a little bit here. I think I went golf ball, yeah. Golf ball size hail for tomorrow. And I think if we see large hail anywhere, it'll probably be down in Dallas tomorrow. Alrighty, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you hopping on here and taking a look at the live radar coverage as well as your updated forecast. Of course, if anything happens significantly, we will jump back on our live. So make sure that you're subscribed, hit that notification button to notify you while you're live or while we are live. And of course, we'll have another forecast tomorrow at noon. So we'll see you then.